Hello everyone, welcome to our today's webinar Compliance Auditing Certificate or Way of Working. We have industry experts Harshil Trivedi, Harsh Karsiparekh and Nisarg Trivedi with us. So this is the 8th episode of our webinar series. If you haven't attended the previous webinars, you can watch them on our YouTube channel. I'm putting the link in the chat box. Till then, let me quickly introduce you to our experts, starting with Harshil Trivedi. He's a distinguished CA and CPA with more than 13 years of experience, specializing in auditing and assurance. He has made significant contributions to big firms like Deloitte and BDO, with expertise in internal audit and SOC audits for multinational organizations. Along with him, we have Harsh Kasiparek, who is the founder and CEO of Securist 360. He's a prominent figure in cutting-edge cybersecurity practices. With a dual degree in accounting and computer science from the University of California, San Diego, and experience at leading firms like Qualcomm, KPMG, and PwC, Mr. Kasiparek is a certified information systems auditor and has worked with notable institutions such as Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, UBS, and AIG. Last but not the least, we have Nisarg Trivedi. He's a co-founder and CTO of Securist 360 with more than 8 years of cybersecurity experience, including a Big Four firm. He's a skilled hacker, manager, and speaker. He specializes in VAPT testing, application security, and network architecture review. Nisarg leads project execution and client engagement, focusing on risk management aligned with compliance standards and the CIS framework. Now, I would like to invite Harshil to begin the webinar. Over to you, Harshil.
Thank you everyone for joining this wonderful webinar regarding the compliance audit. So why we are choosing this particular subject? Let me introduce this subject to you guys, that why compliance audit and what is like why this heading like compliance audit certificate or a way of working. The reason is most of the time the client or customers, that whatever the person that we are meeting it, they are asking that they need ISO certifications, they need a SOC compliance, they need a GDPR, but all they need, they don't understand that it's not just the certifications. They need to change their way of working. There are lots of other parameters, data science, like data security factors, HR, finance, and major policies needs to be implemented through these compliance testings. And we need to test all these factors, and then we can issue certifications. So it is not just a certification; it is a way of working, and we need to change into the organization's particular method of workings. Next slide, please. Okay. So during this webinar, we are covering a multiple topic. We'll start with the essence of compliance, where we're guiding you why the compliance, what is the compliance, and why we need to work this. Then we need a continuous vigilance. What is continuous vigilance? Why we need continuous vigilance? And then risk management, operational efficiencies, cultivating culture. It is not just a one-day activity. You cannot do a compliance only in a day. You need to change a habit. You need to create a habit of compliance. You need to create a habit into the organizations regarding data security, data protection cultures, and cyber security awareness, as well as finance policies, HR policies. There are many policies, operational policies. So this is a continuous culture of compliance. Then what it leads to transparency. It leads to trust among your customers. That's why it is needed. And then at the last, what are the type of compliance audits are there? Which are the which are the areas that will be followed to which particular company, like SOC is needed by which company, ISO needed by which company, and why it is needed. That will cover as a type of compliance. And at the last, we will cover a question and answer sessions. If you have any questions, we'll definitely answer that question. If you would like, we'll be really very happy to answer that at the end of this particular webinar. Next slide, please. Yeah. So in all the compliance testing, the biggest area is the data security. That's why we have given more importance to this particular area. Why data is very crucial? Because I have heard one very good line that data is right now new fuel of the world. Like, it is too costly thing that if it is breaches, it not only lost your reputation or financial thing, but lots of many things. It will affect life of many people. Let me just give you a couple of example right now. You might have heard that there are deep fake videos are going on. So you see a small picture you are uploaded in a social media website, it might affect anybody else's lives as well. So this is a serious issues with the data. Then I have also, if you guys have noticed that if you have gone through regarding the newses, I've seen that there are 85.1 crore people of Indians medical histories was leaked through ICMR websites. It was hacked. And in the cybersecurity attacks were increased in last 3 years, 278% into the BPO or IT industries. So 278 times more percentage like increases in cybersecurity. So why? That's why data is really very crucial. Now we need to understand which type of attack can be possible to the industry. Next slide, please. So the first thing, that is supply chain attack. It is possible that you are using ERPs, you have multiple suppliers, you have multiple vendors, and somebody take that information from somewhere else or might be hack some of the accounts and that enter into your account and they might steal your data. That is possible. That's called supply chain attacks. Then phishing attacks. You might have heard that there are breach of, they might tell you that this is a mail regarding your debit card blockage. Please click the link and revise your debit card PIN or credit card PIN, or you might get some lotteries or something. This is called phishing attacks. You might lose data through your LinkedIn account hack or Facebook account hack, or your company server might be hacked. So you might lose data. Third party at risk. You don't know what is your reputational affectation, like it will affect in your outside organizations. Data breaches, insider threat, like unsatisfied employee might affect you a lot. That is possible. Ransomware, malware, ransomware. There is really very common terms that nowadays. So these all type of, there are many more terms that will be covered in the IoT vulnerabilities that we will take later seminars as well on this. But this type of attack is now that's very common into the organizations, and that's why they need a data security program, a data security certification for them, so that the client will trust you that their data is safe at your organizations. Now, how you can assure that or ensure that your data is safe at your organizations? You need to do a frequent audit. You need to do frequent security audits. You need to establishment awareness. Your staff should know what is the importance of data. They might be using mobiles in the premises and they are clicking some pictures, some selfies, and they don't know that by mistake they might leak some of the very crucial information of your client, and that is possible. So awareness to them, that is also a very important thing. So you must be having some policies, procedures to aware the staff that this is a data, this is a very crucial thing, you cannot play with it. And what is considered as a data breach, how to secure it, what is the security parameters, this all things need to be implemented and it should be audited on a frequent basis. It might be a planned audit, it might be a surprise audit as well, that is also needed. Thanks. So now we are moving to the compliance side. Why compliance? What is compliance? Compliance is based on certain rules, regulations, act. It is a very big threat for the organizations or the industries of the nation that data breaches or data attacks might affect the organizations or our country's growth as well. So that's why what happened that government or government appointed some agencies prepare some rules and regulations to so that the company adhere that rules and regulations, and by that manner they can protect their data. So that all protection regulation is considered as a compliance act. It might cover SOC, ISO, HIPAA, HITRUST. We will cover all this part in later of the slides. And let's move to the next slide, and I will hand over to the Harsh. Harsh will explain you this more slides.
Yes, thank you so much, Ashil Bhai, for letting me. So I'll be guiding on continuous vigilance. Basically, when we talk about compliance, one of the main things we have to do is not only just focus on the points that have been mentioned, but it has to be a continuous activity. So we have to kind of embed what the framework or the guidelines are saying, and we have to embed it as a part of our daily activity, as a part of the business. It is not enough that you achieve compliance just once at the time of certification and attestation, because that is not the primary goal of getting it done. The primary goal is to change your working methodologies, the way you secure some external third party data, and to ensure continuous security in terms of not only maintaining compliance as per the standards, but also ensuring that the organization is staying abreast to these updated changes that happened rapidly, as the compliance and the regulatory bodies continuously update us on the same. So because of this continuous vigilance, it helps us to mitigate all the kind of third party risks or other risks associated with with non compliance from a legal, financial, and reputational perspective. Next slide, please. Yes. So basically, compliance is a strategy of just to manage a risk accurately for any kind of business. Now, basically, when we talk about risk, it in terms of this particular perspective, it is more related to IT risk. So, if we are handling any kind of third-party data, we want to ensure that it is being securely managed, even though we might be providing a solution or a service. So, by addressing gaps in your existing services or procedures, and linking it with compliance, an organization can reduce likelihood of reputational damage, legal battles, and fines with all of their third parties and vendors. So compliance certification and having continuous compliance audits, third party validation helps organizations to navigate these regulatory global requirements, basically. Next step, please. So because of once compliance is achieved, it actually helps in achieving operational efficiency as well. So it is not just a bureaucratic or a red tape situation where we have to kind of it increases the processes or increases responsibilities between people, but the idea is that it can help an organization to reach its operational efficiency. So when compliance is woven into an organization's DNA, it helps them to streamline processes. It helps them to reduce errors, and it also makes people responsible and accountable for their role and responsibility. So it becomes a framework to achieve optimal excellence, rather than being a hindrance to the process. Now, the idea is in any organization is to cultivate a culture of compliance, and not just make it a thing where compliance is done just to get through the bureaucratic and the regulatory hurdles. So it is a responsibility for all of the people in the organization, and they have to follow those kind of guidelines. It is like following HR policies, which are standardized across most industries. Similar to that, we want to cultivate a culture where, just like HRIT is also a culture where people want to say change they're supposed to change their passwords at a regular given time, or there is making sure that we are not accessing websites or open emails which we are not authorized to. So that culture should be a part of an organization's you know basically a DNA, and they should continuously be cultivating it through training, through of making their people aware, their team aware, and leading by example. And the last one of the last points in this is having transparency and trust. So compliance can be achieved either by not being transparent and disclosing the setup or the information, and that will only lead to a short term progress. But in the long run, if transparency is not maintained, then it will not translate into a benefit to the business. So it has to be, we have to disclose what the processes are, what our policies are, to all of our third party stakeholders, and value firms that demonstrate this adherence to ethical and legal standards. And compliance becomes this cornerstone of transparency, assuring that the organization operates with integrity. Yes, now I will hand over to Nisag bhai, who will be discussing about multiple types of compliance audits.
Yes, thank you, thank you. I hope I am audible. So,
Yes,
perfect.
yes.
Great, great. So I think first of all, thank you, smart accountants, for holding this webinar, I think at the right time, and for briefing the good introduction. Harshil bhai, thanks a lot, and take it forward. Harsh bhai, thanks a lot. So with this, I would like to take you through deep dive into what are the other compliances as per the industry, what are the requirement of those compliances, and what industry it may affect. So I think what, let's quickly revise what we have went through this webinar. So first of all, we have start with the data and all. So as you know, data is the new oil, and everyone is looking for the data, and data is now sell in the market as well. People are ready to pay for the data, right? And why they are paying for the data? Because they may get into some important information like our personal health related information, Aadhaar card, PAN card detail. And yes, there are constant state sponsored hackers are there in the market who constantly target the banking website for the financial gain, for military website for the confidential information, government website for the fun, and they are the state sponsored hacker. So how we can prevent them from this type of attack? How we can ensure that our organization has the sufficient control which is implemented across the IT asset, which give the level of trust and transparency to the upper management that yes, we are safe and secure. So as a cyber team or as a IT team, we cannot explain all the technicalities to our steering committee or management committee or our bosses, right? So that's where this compliances certification and that piece of paper or logo will help us to give them the assurity and the trust that yes, we are following the security terminology, we have sufficient technology and policy procedure in place which makes our ecosystem more secure. And how we are getting that trust? By implementing the controls which are defined in the different various compliances and get it reviewed by the external third parties, independent third parties, and with the fresh pair of eyes. And once they are also convinced, once all the sufficient controls are in place, yes, we are certified with the different compliance standard which is present here. So yes, first of all, we will start with the SOC audit. And the first slide, if we move on to the next slide, it will give us a brief about what are the different type of SOC audit which we are doing and what industry require which type of audit. So if we can move to the next slide. Perfect. So yes, if I talk about the SOC, there are three type of SOC services which are generally present in the market. They respectively called SOC 1, SOC 2, and SOC 3 compliances and certification. So first question, what type of certification is your organization required? Right? Because there are n number of n number of compliances, certification which are present in the market. But is it all applicable to your organization? Is it falls under that particular compliances? Yes, for the next 20 to 25 minutes, I will walk you through each and every compliances and what is the market segment they are affected with. And if you are part of that particular sector, we would be recommend you to, get that compliant done, and that will definitely give you the value added for the services or the product which you are in. Right? So as a cyber team, as an IT team, this will be a value added from yourself to the organization. And definitely it is gonna, increase the customer base and the profitability for your brand. Right? So with this, I would like to start with the SOC 1. So what is SOC 1 and who requires SOC 1? Right? So SOC 1 is the certification attached, and that for the organization that provides some sort of outsourced services for the customers and their client, right? So what does that mean? What does the mean of the outsourced services and the customers, right? So a couple of typical examples are software as a service company like fintech platform, sales platform. The another is the processing company like payroll processing, claims processing company, loan servicing company, medical claim processor. If we talk about the claim processing, that medical claim can also fall under that purview. At, and at last, data center companies can also apply for the SOC 1 compliances. And what is the domain it is focused on, right? If we talk about the domain of the SOC 1, they are mainly to the IT and business process related, right? SOC 1 certification and compliance is based on the IT specific and business related. How it comes into the picture? That controls decided as per the COSO. So that means the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Tradeway Commission, right? It also covers the internal control environment, objective setting, event identification, again, that risk assessment. Whenever you are going for any of the compliance or certification, one point is there: risk assessment, risk identification. So, yes, we have to go through all the processes. We need to highlight the gaps. We need to note down the gaps. We need to try to close that gaps as much as possible. So yes, that certification also comes with the validity, and there are also surveillance audit which we need to perform on a regular interval of time. Yes, it is applicable to SOC 1, SOC 2, and SOC 3 as well. We have, once we get the certification, we also need to present that we are adhering the controls of that compliances, and that's where that surveillance audit comes into the picture, right? So what is the prerequisite for that compliances, right? So if you want to go for the SOC 1, the what scope you have to decide. So first of all, you need to ask the organization that which locations are involved. Do you have any third parties? If yes, what are the services they are providing, right? How many business applications and technologies are there in your current business infrastructure? What are the platforms that are involved, right? What are the systems that are involved, right? Are there any segregation of duties between the various departments like HR, admin, IT, operations, accounts, marketing, etc.? And which processes focus on the internal control over financial reporting? So that generally covers the SOC 1 compliance. So if we move on to the SOC 2, it is more of a technical review. And there are again two parts to the SOC 2. It's a SOC type 1 and SOC 2 type 1 and SOC 2 type 2. It is similarly applicable to the same industry like SOC 1. It is a software as a service, processing companies, loan serving companies, law firm, consultancies, and cryptocurrency companies as well. So as you know the cryptocurrency market is increasing day by day, and there are multiple startups and all which also into this business. Yes, they can apply for the SOC 2 compliances and attestation. So again, the controls are for the similar, and that is more onto the technical side of the things, and it covers main 5 domain. SOC 2 covers main 5 domain. It is security, availability, integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. So the validity of the certification is same, and the surveillance audit period is also same. So what is the value added for the company? Yes, it gives the trust and reliability to your customer, and it also tick mark the regulatory requirement. You can able to highlight and identify the risk associated with your existing process in the organization, and you can mitigate it as well, right? Now we will move on to the SOC 3. So if you move on to the next slide, SOC 3 slide. So SOC 3 is the overview of what we have covered in the SOC 2 attestation report, and it can be published to the general public. So whatever the summary of the SOC 2 compliance is, we will write it, and we can get that SOC 3 attestation as well. So please note that to have that SOC certified, we require CPA form for the attestation. So once we are ready, all the controls are in place, all the processes are being followed, all the technological controls are in place. It needs to be get it reviewed by the CPA firm, and it can be attested, and later we will get that SOC related compliant. And we can always use their logo on our website and all on our email signature, right? So it will also market our brand as well, and again it will give a competitive advantage as well. So let's say for example, in your business you have 20 competitor, right? And out of which there are only 5 competitor who are this comply to this and got that certification. So you can present this certification as a value added, and that will be definitely an advantage for you and your firm to get that business easily and to get that customer's trust easily. So with this, we'll move on to the next certification, which is the ISO 27001 certification, which is the most basic and common across the industry, right? So if your business, it is applicable to all the business sizes, and it ensures that the organizations are identifying and managing risk effectively, constantly, and measurably. So by the uh, last month, there was the version of ISO 27001 2013, and now they have upgraded to ISO 27001 2022. Earlier, there were used to be 114 control in ISO 27001 2013 version. Now they have merged couple of domain and remove the unnecessary one. So the new ISO 27001 has 14 domain and 93 control. And please note that this ISO 27001 certification is for 3 years, and for each year you have to do the surveillance audit that give the assurity to the organization and the customer that yes, you are following what you have written in the policy, right? So that's where we also come with the topic of the webinar, that yes, whether we have to do only the certification, whether we need to keep the only piece of paper with us, or our we should put it in the culture of our organization as well, right? So by complying this, by following this, you can also improve the overall culture of the organization, and ultimately you can safeguard the boundaries of the organization, and it will also create an awareness for your employee as well. And I'm pretty much sure it will help them at a personal level as well, right? So for example, we have a strong password policy which force user to put more than 10 character of password with all the uppercase, lowercase, special character and all. So if you put that as a habit, then definitely you are going to create an awareness, and that's where you are going to keep your assets safe and secure from the outside of the attack as well, because it will be very hard for any attacker to guess this complex password and try to break into your infrastructure, right? So with this, we will move on to the next certification, which is related to the PCI-DSS, which is related to Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, right? So you might have noticed when you are going to any payment site, when you are booking anything, it will redirect us to payment gateway. So next time when you visit this type of page, just see, you will see this type of logo there, right? So it is mandatory for the organization who are dealing with the customer payment, like even the card details as well, like credit card, debit card, UPI detail. When there is a financial transaction in place, you won't be even authorized to do that if you do not have PCI DSS compliant, right? So that's where companies like Paytm, Razorpay, all are required to comply with the PCI standard, right? So what all other industry which require this type of certification, correct? So first, merchant. Any business that accept the card payment needs to be comply with the PCI DSS. So if you have went to any mall or shopping, there is a POS device called point of sale devices. So it may be from Pine Lab and all. You can check their website. They are also PCI DSS certified, right? And it's not only a one time activity or only certification related activity. There is a rigorous review from the external auditor as well. There are a couple of test cases also which is performed. There are hacking activities also performed to ensure that the sufficient controls are in place, and they are following what they have written, what they have committed, right? So for what other one, the PCI DSS is required, service provider, right? The companies that processes, store, transmit cardholder data on behalf of other businesses need to be compliant, right? So for example, IRCTC is the one, where you can go and book your tickets, right? But in the backend, they are using the payment gateway to do the payments, right? So these are called the payment processor. So these are the company that handle the card transaction between merchant, issuing bank, and card schemes. So these are also required to be compliant with the PCI DSS. And the last is the issuers and the acquirers. These are the financial institutions that issue payment cards or acquire payment transaction, right? So this is the very crucial compliant standard which needs to be maintained. So what is the focus for this standard, right? If you are working in any of this industry, or if you are dealing with any of the industry, or if you have this third party organization, you can definitely ask for their PCI DSS compliance part. So that covers the build and maintenance a secure network and system in case their patches are not updated, they are using any obsolete version of operating system, they have any outdated servers and all, they might not get PCI DSS certified, they may not comply with the PCI DSS standards, right? To get this comply, there should be a network segregation, uh, regular patches needs to be updated, latest version of operating system needs to be used, right? Then again, the protection mechanism should be there to protect the card holder data, right? And it's not an one time activity, there should always be a vulnerability assessment and penetration activity, testing activity which needs to be done to ensure the safety and the security of the data, right? And there should also implement a strong access control measures, like nobody could access all the data across the organization. There are specific rule set person or group of people which should be defined to get that access of the particular data, right? Again, the regular monitoring of the network is also required, right? What if during the external audit all the controls are complied and external auditors are satisfied and they issue the certificate, and imagine next day they have faced the cyber attack where they may end up losing their system or disconnected with their critical systems, or their data got hacked. Then at that time all this compliance will be like a piece of paper, right? There are big organizations like Meta, Google, Alphabet, who invested a lot in this type of compliances, regulatory requirement, legal requirement. If you google that Meta finds, right, you will find couple of instances where they were not able to meet the compliance standard. So imagine if at that level companies are not able to meet the requirement. So at our level we need to ensure, we need to be vigilant, as mentioned by Harsh, that we need to be vigilant what we are doing and how we are doing. So this is where we can improve the overall compliance and ensure we will follow this throughout the cycle as well, right? So PCI DSS compliance is determined by the identifying the all location. There is no options to go with the single location or multiple location. We organization need to cover all location and flows of cardholder data and ensure they are adequately protected, right? Because in upcoming way there is also DPDP in place, right? We are going to have the DPDP Act where any company who is getting the personal data of the Indian citizen, just remember, who is going to capture and store the data of the Indian citizen, like name, email address, PAN card, Aadhaar card, address, credit card number, birth date, needs to ensure the safety and security of the data. So I think that's why I have mentioned, this is the right time. This is the right time to start looking at the uh, current organization's infrastructure where we are right now. We need to do the risk assessment. We need to identify the potential loophole. We need to identify from where the data can be leaked. We need to identify from where the hackers is coming into our network, and we can close that loophole. And yes, we can comply with different kind of these standards like SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3, ISO 27001, PCI DSS as well. So with this, we will move on to the next compliance, which is related to the industry specific. So is if you can see, there are again couple of levels in the PCI compliance models as well. If you are dealing with almost 20,000 transactions per year, then it will be a level 4 compliance for you. In case it is between 20K to 1 million, it will be a level 3 compliance for you. Similarly, level 2 and level 1 compliance are mentioned, right? So we have talked about this 6 main requirement which is mentioned. We need to comply, and there is no room for NC in this domain. Remember, this is all the personal and credit card money related data, right? Your credit card number is there, your CVV ID is there, your validity of the card is there. So that's why it is very essential when we are applying for the PCI DSS compliance. All the controls, all the domains are in the compliance phase, right? What we have written on the policy or procedure, we are following it as per the best industry standard, right? So that's where the way of working, the culture of our organization, we should follow. With this, we will move on to the next slide and our next compliances. Now we will focus on other industry like healthcare. So PCI DSS is mainly for the financial industries. Now we have moved our sector to the HIPAA compliances, right? So what is HIPAA, right? HIPAA is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and where it is applicable, right? First of all, it is applicable to the healthcare providers. So what does that mean? What is the definition of healthcare provider? Doctors, clinics, psychologists, dentists, right? Nursing staff, pharmaceutical companies, that transmit any information in an electronic form in connection with a transaction for which HHS has adopted a standard, right? What are the health plan you have obtained, right? From where you have obtained that health plan, it is also applicable to those firms as well, right? This encompasses the health insurance companies, right? Company health plan and certain government program to that pay for the healthcare, right? Such as there are a couple of example of it like Medicare and Medicide, right? Then next is the business associate, right? So in case you are in the business of the medical field, and is that certain organization or person working with providing services to a covered entity who handle or disclose personally identifiable health information such as billing component, transcription services, and third party consultant needs to be HIPAA compliant, right? If you want to process the data, billing information of the medical patient, if you want to if you are from the insurance company who generally capture the information of the medical history of the patient, right? This is applicable to them. So what needs to be take care, what are the domain which they are focused on, is the administrative domain, technical domain, as well as the physical security of the premises where the data is stored or where it is processed, right? And what is the important for it? Privacy of the data, security of the data, right? And how we can do it, that the certification validity is for the 1 year. And yes, there are a couple of surveillance audit also which we need to perform in between to uh, ascertain that we are following what we have written and what we have committed, right? So what scope, how we can decide the scope? So since it is related to data, first is the application databases. So on top of that, user workstation where the data is stored, right? Where even the logs and the backups are also covered here, right? Because even in the backup also we are storing that information, storing the PHI information, right? Then there are also couple of cloud, we are storing the data on the cloud, then we need to ensure the safety and the security of the data on that platform as well, including the cloud visualization tool integration, right? Because it may be possible that we are using the cloud SaaS model to store the data, but from the interface we are using some other software which is fetching data from the cloud. So again, we need to ensure that this type of security testing done prior to integrating it with any of the data which may reveal this type of information, because we do not know what software will require what type of information or permission, and which type of data which is they are sending to outside of the world as well. So prior to integrating that type of devices into our network, due diligence should be there, because ultimately the penalty is huge here, and we need to bear that penalty if the data leakage is done by us, right? So again, that comes with the new point that, yeah, if we are just doing the compliance for the sake of paper, but in case the government come across any data breach kind of scenario, we may end up paying a huge penalty, right? And by following the compliance rigorously and stringently, that we can avoid the penalty as well, since all of our controls are in our place, right? With this, we will move on to our next compliance level, which is the high trust, which is one of the most matured. Again, it is in the fixed domain. It is for the doctor's office, hospital, pharmaceutical, insurance company, healthcare vendor. So if you have seen, there was one previous compliance, which is the HIPAA, and now high trust. So you can see all the government across the globe is pretty much concerned about their citizens' health care related data, right? So there are more than one compliances which we organization can follow, which doctors can follow, which hospital and insurance company can follow to have that security, safety, and trust, right? So here in the compliance itself, you can read the word trust, right? So that means if you are having this compliance in place, if all the controls are in place, that means yes, that customer can trust you, that citizen can trust you, that your data is safe and secure with them, correct? Again, it's a very stringent compliance to get. Remember, it spread across 19 domain and 135 controls. To get that certification, we need to comply with all the 135 controls, right? And the validity of the certification is of the 2 years, right? After 1 year, there will be a surveillance audit, and that includes of the three key factor. The one is the organizational factor, the second is the data factor, and the third one is the system factor. And again, it will give your customer, your citizens, that continuous trust and satisfaction that yes, since the company is following and having this type of compliance in place, our data and our information is safe and secure with them. So how companies can ensure that whatever controls or compliance they have received are in place, or there is no improvement required, right? By doing the continuous testing, by doing the continuous monitoring, right? By continuously identifying the risk associated with it. Because it may be possible that yes, right now you are certified, you are having the compliance in place, but one fine day, what if your data get lost? One fine day, your transactions are not being done. One fine day, you are not able to access your own information, correct? What if one fine day you find your own data leak on the dark web or on internet, from the database leakage of the ISO certified company, right? So that's where in for the industry you are working in, for the work you are doing, it is very essential for you guys to get this certification first in place. Prior to that, all the processes, policies, controls are in place, so that you can easily apply for the certification. And during the external audit also, you will get all the checks in green color, and you will get that certification easily. So now jumping back to the what our topic was, yes, it's compliance should be only a piece of paper, or we should follow. So I'm pretty much sure that after spending that 45 minutes of time, I think the view is to not only get the certified, but to create a culture in the organization, to establish the processes, to follow that processes, may end up a secure working world for you, as well as your firm, as well as the client which you are dealing with, as well as the third party whom services you are leveraging. With this, I would like to pause it here.